All right, here we go. Neil, good morning, or I guess good afternoon right now. Thank you so much for helping us out today.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me. It's good to see everybody. How many people are on the call?
Right now we're at 47, 48, 49, climbing.
Good. All right. I like it.
All right.
Going up in the world
The
right
special significance of the flag that's behind you?
now. It's a screenshot just because my office is quite large and I like to just have that. A client made it and I liked it. So when I sold his house, I said, "Are you going to take it?" And he said, "No." So I said, "Here's $250. I'll take it."
All right.
Yeah, it's quite striking actually when you walk in.
Yeah. Well, it looks great. Looks really, really cool.
I kind of like yours, but I had to cancel my trip to Hawaii.
Yeah, I know. Well, we had to cancel all of our trips. So this is kind of like reminiscent. In fact, I mean, we were just talking today about doing a little birthday thing where I was going to, all the great restaurants that I like to go to in New York, we're going to take pictures of them and put them up so that I can kind of live through the pictures. Anyway, good stuff. Neil, so tell me, this market, and you've been around a long, long time.
Mhm.
This market is stranger than we've encountered, generally speaking. Would you agree?
I would, because what we're encountering right now has never been encountered before. But what we're encountering right now in terms of a change or in terms of trying to figure out the right way to approach our clients, the right way to continue generating business and still being respectful of what everybody's experiencing. We have been through this before, and you've been through this before, and so have I. What we've never been through before is this incredible beginning to a year. Stock market at an all-time high, unemployment at an all-time low, getting ready for what should be a terrific spring selling season in the real estate world, at least in Southern California, and then in the space of such a very short period of time, all of that changing. So it really required us to get our heads on straight pretty quickly. And I think for the most part, because I talk to a lot of agents and I mastermind, I think everybody's, including our clients, has kind of got, we've gotten the handle of this now. We know what we're dealing with. We know how to navigate it. And if it lasts another month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, candidly, we'll be fine because we'll work within the rules and we'll serve our clients.
And that's absolutely great point. It was interesting when I first talked to you, checked in with you probably 3-4 weeks ago. You were saying how, I asked, how's the business? What's going on? And you were saying, oh my gosh, I'm so busy. I have so much opportunity, so much good things happening. And, that isn't all the real estate agents, Neil. I don't know if you know that or not, but not everyone is as busy as you are and doing all the work and good stuff that's happening for you. So a little bit of that is a very special and unique mindset that you have. And that's kind of where I wanted to go a little bit today is where does that come from? How do you pull that out of the hat? How do you switch gears? I mean, any thoughts on that?
Well, so the first thought is, this is kind of what I was alluding to before. I mean, I'm looking at the screen and I'm guessing that a fair amount of people have not been in the business for maybe a terribly long time. But, I remember after 9/11, the market in my area in the Santa Clarita Valley, we were numb, like we were in shock, and literally nothing happened for about 3.5 months. And we have new construction up here. I remember the builders offering, huge incentives to close by the end of the year and buyers not taking them because they perceived that the market was going to go down. And when it didn't go down, we took off like a rocket ship at the beginning of 2002, right? 2002 was one of my biggest years ever, just literally months after 9/11. So I have no idea if that's going to happen this time, but I can tell you all the fundamentals are in place for us to be very, very productive if we choose to be. What you have to understand right now, and this is painfully obvious to me, is many of the agents have simply checked out. They don't want to work. They don't want to leave their house. They don't want to call their past clients their center of influence. They don't want to call a buy owner. Can you imagine being a buy owner right now? How do you sell your home buy owner right now, right? And follow the rules. They're as confused as can be. So anyway, lots of agents are choosing not to work. And so what's happening is, yes, there's less transactions, but for the agents that are working, we're getting them all.
Exactly.
It's really that simple. It's not rocket science.
So last year you ended up with about how many transactions?
139.
139.
That
and
was the lowest. It was the lowest year actually I've had since 2007.
Got it. And most of that listing sold?
Yeah, almost always. In fact, it was the buyer sales that were so low that is the reason it wasn't 160 or 158 or 70 where it usually is.
Got it. Got it. And the goal for this year, you started out to be?
172. I have not changed the goal, by the way.
Okay, got it. And for the first quarter, would you end up closing or closed and pending, you think?
Well, I don't ever think. I always know. It's 59.
Okay, good. All right. So it's a good first quarter, good strong first quarter.
Yeah.
So we shifted gears. So what are you doing? What, if anything, are you doing different? How's the market in the virus world affecting you and some of the changes that you've had to make?
Well, again, Mike teaches us that we always have to be looking for motivation. And this market requires it, because instead of me saying to you the usual pre-qualification questions and you saying, yeah, I'm going to Chicago and I need to sell my house and all the rest of it, and then me saying, great, let's get together at your house 4 o'clock so we can meet to get you listed and get you sold, I have to say something along the lines of, Neil, in terms of showing your home, there's 3 ways that we can do that. Would it be okay if I explain those 3 ways and then tell me how you want me to represent you? Go ahead and role play it with me.
Go ahead. I'm not, what are the 3 ways?
Okay. So, a lot of our sellers, Neil, they want to sell just like you do, but they really don't want anybody coming through their home. So we have a program. If you don't want anybody coming through, at least until we get the all clear, totally understandable. We'll show you how we can do that for you. Okay. It involves a lot of virtual showings. We're selling homes right now where buyers don't even go inside. All right. So that's an option for you.
Okay.
Number 2, okay, is kind of like that, where they don't come inside, but we actually allow them to walk around the outside, look in, windows open, all the rest of it. And so once they're serious and they write an offer that you and I find acceptable, then we let them in. Okay. And then option number 3 is what a lot of our sellers are doing, which is to continue to show the property just following all the rules and regulation that we have here in Los Angeles County. So I can assure you as your agent, what I will make sure of is that they fill out a questionnaire that I provide, providing that they've been pre-approved in the last week and that they don't have any issues health-wise. They have to sign all this. I submit it to you. You'd say, yeah, Neil, looks good. Bring them by. And that's how we show it. So there's these 3 different options. The point is, Neil, is I wouldn't wait to put my home on the market if I were you. Can I explain why?
Yeah, tell me. Is anything really selling?
Well, we've sold 4 homes this week, and last week we sold 5. So the answer is yes. And they're homes just like yours. Okay, there's nothing unique or special about them. And all 3 of the ways that we market homes right now are working. We're selling homes where buyers aren't going inside, where they're only going on the outside, or where they actually are going inside. But here's the thing that I want to share with you and perhaps maybe impress upon you. You really want to sell your home this year, correct?
Yeah, we really do need to sell.
Okay. And you would like to do it sooner than later, but you don't want to be silly about it. You don't want to put it on the market unless you think you're going to have success, right?
Right.
You're like so many people I talk to. Here's the great news. The great news is simply this. If you list your home with me at a price that's within the current market conditions, almost certainly you're going to sell in 30 days or less. And the reason why, Neil, is very simple. Can I explain it to you?
Please.
Do you know the best time to sell anything?
Well, I mean, I think I do, but please explain.
Well, the best time to sell anything is when you have no competition. Okay.
Okay.
No competition. So you might say, gosh, Neil, I didn't think there were that many buyers out there. And you'd be right. There are far less buyers out right now. But there's enough buyers that the very few sellers that are out there we're putting the two of them together and we're putting transactions. Now, when this is over, is it logical to think that a fair amount of people that would have put their home on the market in March and April will do so in May or June?
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, right. I mean, I know for a fact probably a dozen people that are just waiting for me to call and want an all clear and list their home for them. Okay.
Okay.
Do you want to be competing against virtually nobody like right now? Or do you want to be maybe having buyers compare you to 6, 7 other homes in your area?
Well, I like that. So what you're saying to me, if I understand it, is I can still get a really good price in this marketplace. The prices aren't falling because of this quarantine thing.
We're seeing multiple offers under 700,000. Now your home might be a little bit above that, but I had multiple offers on a house that last week at 825. So it really just depends on the marketing that's done on your home, the agent you select, and of course how the home shows when we start to market it.
Very good. Excellent. Good job.
So Neil, it's just a rational discussion with people. It's just being honest with them, really.
Right. Well, and I appreciate that, but you're very practiced at this. So with that thought, does this come naturally to you? The thoughts, the concepts? Do you write them? Do you practice them? Does Neil Weichel still practice on a daily basis?
So I role played with Hal Swayze this morning at 8:15, just like I do every Thursday. I role played with somebody at 5 a.m. in Florida, just like I do every Thursday. These scripts are not very practiced. Do you think, some of these things, I mean, I may have said to somebody 5 years ago, the best time to sell your home is when there's no competition, because that's just a logical thing to point out to them. But you have to understand, people are afraid right now. Right? They're afraid, not just health-wise, they're afraid that they can't sell their home. They're afraid that it's a bad time or that there won't be buyers. I mean, I'm sure you're seeing this with your agents. If something's priced properly, you're putting it under contract in 30 days or less.
No, that's for sure, especially under 700,000.
Not with a prospect, because honestly, they don't know it.
Right. Yeah. Great point. Excellent. You're running in, is it easier to get your commission today because of this conversation, or you're still running into some pushback?
No, it's much easier both to get your commission and to get a good review from your clients, because they really appreciate your service. For the agents that are in your company that are being coached and trained and motivated by you and your staff, they have such an advantage over an agent, just kind of twisting in the wind right now or not, because they can see all these other agents within your company that are having successes. And, we're human beings. If we see one person do it, we think, well, obviously we could too, right?
Right.
So, and that's happening. So, and it's happening in my company too. I mean, our company is gobbling market share probably right now as we speak, simply because our broker is committed to serving the client and working through this, because that's what they're expecting us to do.
Yeah. Well, clearly that's when we take over market share.
Neil, they're always willing to pay. Look, in the hottest of markets where the Redfins and the Assist-to-Sells and all of that are, telling the client they don't need to hire Neil Weichel at 6% because they can hire them at a flat fee or a 3% or a 4%, whatever the hell it is.
Sure.
Those people still pay me a full commission because they perceive the value and the result they're going to get is worth it. Right? In this market, more than ever.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. Part of that's an attitude, saying you carry that air with you. So
yeah, maybe. I mean, look, I still lose listings over commission, right? It would be silly to suggest that I don't. It's just in this market, the client is going to hire you based on the fact that you are going to carefully, confidently, and sensitively, I think too, empathetically, take them from point A to point B, whatever those points are to that client, right? And you do it by asking questions just like we always do. The questions are a little different.
So switching gears slightly on this, you're looking for motivation because you're looking for have to sells, not want to sells, correct?
Absolutely, no question.
Okay.
Unless
So
want to sell has something that's very, very saleable that I know will go quickly. And that happens. But for the most part, no, I'm looking for people that have to sell.
but that means you have to talk to a lot of people to find those have to sells right now, correct?
Yes.
Got it. So are you talking to more people now than you were, let's say, in January?
Yes.
Okay. So has that increased 10%, 20%? Is there a percentage?
It's a good question. I'm not, that's one question I maybe can't answer. It's probably not 20%. Here's what's happening. And you guys know this because you're on the phones. The people want to talk to you. It's a blessing and a curse. They may not have any motivation, but they're like, well, tell me what's going on, and we're stupid enough to think that, they really want to hear me pontificate about the market and everything else in the world, which, that's just my own little fantasy, I suppose. Or they saw like the video I did on values, right? Did you see that video?
Yeah, I did. It was a great job. You
Thank
want to share a little bit for the group?
Well, it's the last one I did, and I'll do another one tomorrow, was, I addressed the point of our price is going to go down because that's what everybody wants to know. And it doesn't matter if it's our buyers or our sellers, if they're 500,000 or 2 million or anywhere in between, they all want to know if price is going to go down. And of course, it's an impossible question to answer. Nobody knows that. But there's a fair amount of information out there to suggest why they probably won't much. Right. So anyway, if you go to YouTube and just put my name in, you'll see it. It's a 3.5 minute video. I think it's probably as good a video as I've ever done. And it just, you're welcome to steal it, use it exactly as you like for your client base, because it's, if I can say this, it's very measured. It's not, oh, everything's going to be great, man. We're going to take off like a rocket ship when this thing is over, because we can't say that. And it's not, look at what's happening with unemployment. No one's going to want to buy or sell now. Prices are going to go plunging. I mean, this is how people get you to click on their stuff, right? Is they send you this gloom and doom crap. And that's all it is crap. When this is over, we're going to have a few less transactions this year. You're going to see maybe in the upper price ranges a little bit of adjustment in price. And provided we don't, have sustained unemployment and sustained structural correction, we're going to go back to where we were, which is a supply and demand equation, which is completely out of whack. It totally favors the sellers. Doesn't matter if you're in West Covina or Chino Hills or Valencia, California, or frankly, anywhere in Southern California. That's how real estate prices go up and down. It's based on supply and demand. So anyway, watch the video. Tell me what you think. I think, you can use it as you see fit.
Great. Perfect. Thank you. I appreciate that. So mindset. Are there any days that Neil Weichel doesn't want to do what he has to do?
No.
No. Tell me more about that.
Well, so
I want to know what you're drinking.
Yeah. Well, it's a sparkling water, and I love this stuff. Here's the truth. The truth is every day is different, and some days are certainly better than others for all of us. It would be silly to suggest otherwise. But when you have a schedule, like I got up this morning at 3:15, and that's not my normal get up time, but I opened my eyes and I started thinking, which is typical for me. And I just thought, I got all this stuff to do. And the next thing I know, I'm sending emails to people. I mean, honestly, a great way to reach people right now is by email or text. Hey, I was just thinking about you. How you doing? Anything I can do for you? Right? I mean, how long does it take to send that to 30 of your best past clients, or, a couple of lead listings or whatever? And, sometimes they'll look and they'll see it came to them at, 4:09 or 5 in the morning or whatever time it is. And they'll go, wow, you're up early. I said, hey, we're busy. What you say, not just to the public, but also to yourself, it matters. And it matters a lot. And the answer, you asked me a simple question, and the answer is no. I've got too much. I've got exercise, I've got role play, I've got mastermind, I schedule, I tell people, I text them, hey, can I call you at 8:30 tomorrow? Well, guess what? I better be on the phone at 8:30 tomorrow because I just set an appointment to talk to you at 8:30 tomorrow.
Right.
As soon as this is over, I'm going to go over an offer with a client on a house that's been on the market 5 days. And, that's scheduled. Everything's scheduled. I've got a 3 o'clock. I got a 4 o'clock. The only thing I don't schedule is nights. I go home at night.
All right. Cool. Very, very cool.
Yeah.
So I get this, but I don't know that the staff gets that the calendar is the most important thing. So where did that come from, Neil?
I'm not sure I follow.
So I get that the calendar, your schedule,
Yeah.
is one of the. So did you learn it? Was it innate? Where did it come from? From the very looking back at the beginning. Okay, let me rephrase this. Was Neil Weichel born the agent he is today, or was there a growth pattern?
Well, of course, there's a growth pattern. I kind of think that probably I was thinking about this morning, probably my first 7 or 8 years in the business, which was 91 to 99, which was a complete declining market, by the way. There was not one year in there where prices went up until 99 in my valley. I was really just learning how to do this job. And fortunately, I had Mike Ferry, because he said stuff like, don't do open houses. So I stopped doing those after a few years. Or he said, make sure your desk is clear when you come in the morning. Or he said, make sure that you have a morning schedule based on a certain amount of contacts. And I just write it down and do it. So because, that became part of me a long time ago, it's still part of me today. And then, I started getting a little older and I didn't have the energy to do the job. So I started incorporating a lot more exercise or a change in diet. Now that's part of me. I mean, it's just who you become when that's who you become, along the way, it's just what you do. I get up early because I get my best work done in the morning, and I lay out my day and I fill this little card out there. I don't know if you can see that.
Can't see it. Now we can.
Those are the people I have to talk to. How many contracts? How many listing appointments? I've been doing this since I was 22 years old.
Wow.
So, yeah, and that's, I'm not saying that's normal or whatever, but it just helps me stay focused and, do my job.
Got it. So, what's post-virus look like? Are you going to make any changes? Did you learn anything from this to help carry you for the next?
That's a great question. So I would suggest to everybody on the call that we can use what we're doing right now to communicate with our clients coming out of this in a way that's going to make you much more efficient. I have people that I mastermind with that 35% of the people that they work with, they never see, because they do second homes or resort markets. Like this morning's call, I've got Mike Darda, Valerie Caro, let's see, who else? Somebody else, where they don't see probably a third of their people. I think it's possible to do this presenting to people that live 10 miles across town. And I think people are getting used to it. And if you think DocuSign and email made you more efficient, what's a Zoom presentation going to do for you? Yeah. So I think I can be at my house in Santa Barbara presenting to you about your home in Saugus, California, and I don't need to drive down to see you. Why would I? I know the neighborhood like the back of my hand. I can present to you. I mean, I have to get better at this. I've only been doing this for a month, and I keep looking at you there when you're really right there. But other than that, hi Neil. But other than that, I'm quite sure that that we can use this technology and we can use photography. And frankly, I think the clients are going to want it. I think they're going to want it. How many sellers have said to you, who are all these lousy buyers keep bothering me in my house? I want them screened better. If you look at any of my listings right now, which any of you guys could look up, look at what you've got to fill out before you can come inside one of my listings. Why don't we do that after this?
Okay. Good thought.
I bet you our sellers would like it.
Great thought. Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, I'm thinking about this, Neil. I think this is actually going to have some positives.
No, well, we think the same way. We're just trying to figure out how to put the pieces together and what that might look like. So good stuff.
Yeah.
So what would you suggest a newer agent? I get this question all the time, and I'd like to do it as a newer agent, and then I'd like to take it as maybe somebody that's a little bit more veteran. What recommendation would you make today? They're generally hardworking, but everybody wants to do more. Everybody wants to get more. I hear this a lot of times from veterans, not agents, people like yourself, but I guess maybe the mid-level. They don't want to grind anymore, and I don't think you see this as a grind. I could be wrong.
I haven't been a grinder for quite a long time, actually.
Right.
Yeah, I don't work nights. I mean, I used to work nights look, I know what it is to work hard, and I mean hard. And trust me, in 29 years, I've done it a lot. I'm not interested in doing that anymore, quite honestly. I'd rather hang out with my dogs or my wife or, whatever, right? So, and frankly, I don't need to. And here's the reason why. I analogize our business to sports a lot. So if you look at somebody like, let's say, a Tom Brady, right? Who maybe doesn't have the same energy that he used to, but mentally, do you think that guy knows a football field better than ever? The answer is yes, he does.
Of course.
He knows everything that's going to happen before it happens. I remember one time I was doing yoga on the beach in Hawaii, and I had this brainstorm standing on my head. And I was thinking about Tom Brady. I thought, he lets the game come to him. Okay? He lets the game come to him. And I thought, that's exactly what I should do. Is I should observe what's happening and let the real estate business come to me, so that I only work with the people that are really ready to do something now. I only navigate a schedule that's highly productive, that doesn't have a lot of wasted time. Now, a veteran person can say that. I don't believe a new person could, and frankly, I don't think a new person should. I think a new person should grind. But I'll tell you what's not happening right now that shocks me. You have all this time and you're not working on your skills.
Oh.
You have all this time and you're not studying what's in your market. Okay. I'm up, and I'm not saying this to brag. It's just, it happens to be my favorite part of the day where I get stuff done. I'm up at 4:30, 5 o'clock, and I'm studying what's newly listed. I read what the agent says about it, what went into escrow, what fell out of escrow. Why did it fall out of escrow? How can I tell you that prices aren't going down? Because I study it every day. They're not going down, not in my market, okay? And when they do start to go down, if they do, guess who's going to know before anybody else? Me, because I'm the one who's going to be studying it, right? You have all this time and you're not studying what's happening in your marketplaces. That's what your clients want to know. They want to know how saleable their home is. And they mention a home around the corner from them and you don't even know the house they're talking about. And you're the professional? You're kidding yourself, okay? I took 5 years of notes, 5 years of notes from working with Steve Powers as my coach. And I wrote them all out. I condensed them, all the scripts, all the great little questions, all this stuff. 5 years. Do you know how long that took? I rewrote it all out and I threw out all the old and I put it in one binder. It was probably about 400 pages and I condensed it into about 100, right? All of it going back about, why? Because I got time, right? People don't want to.
Talking about, you did this now.
I did this over the last 60 days, yeah.
This is my conversation 2 or 3 times a day with the entire group. I don't understand how they're blowing this opportunity. But let me ask you.
It's such an opportunity. That's the point. All the things that you wanted to do and you said, oh, I don't have enough time to really do. You got the time now. I mean,
there's 71 people on the call. I'd like to just spend the rest of the time, you and I, talking on this subject alone.
It's your call, man. I'll do whatever.
I mean, but they're not getting it. So so why do you get it and they're not getting it?
Because I don't like to not be busy. I don't like to not be productive. I don't feel good about myself if I'm not doing something of productivity. Period. End of story. Now look, let's put this into some perspective for everybody, because they're not going to think I'm a human being. I'm living right now, and I share this with you guys personally. I'm living right now by myself. Okay. My wife had to move in with her mom because her mom is going through chemo. And if she gets COVID, she will die. Like there's no question. She has no immunity. So my wife won't come into our house because I am still, very carefully, but I am still in the public. So in the last 2 months, I've lived by myself in a 5,000 square foot home that she won't allow anybody in to clean. I'm doing all the shopping. I'm doing all the cooking. I have 2 young puppies that are a joy and a half, a lot of fun. I have to feed them. I have to make sure they're walked every day. I hired somebody for that. I've got all the stuff that my wife would normally do. I'm doing that. Plus I'm doing all of this. Okay. And yet this morning, because there's dog hair and I'm a neat freak, I spent 45 minutes vacuuming the entire house before I got on the phone. Okay. So I do the same stuff all you guys do. When I go home tonight, I'm going to probably watch the NFL draft or a movie or something like that, just like all of you guys will do. We all have the same 24 hours in the day. The problem is you're just wasting a lot of them. And if you can just get in the habit of doing your productive stuff in the morning, you don't have to worry about if you got to vacuum your house at 3 p.m. when you get home early, or you're going to do do a puzzle or talk to your kids or whatever it is you're going to do. There's plenty of time for all that. I have to tell you, I'm fascinated by how much time people waste. If they ever did that time study that Gunther Kloss did for Mike Ferry all those years ago, they'd say, okay, I'm guilty. I get it. Even I waste time. I just don't waste time. I waste little amounts of time.
Okay. But they're guilty and they know it, and they need the money, yet they still do this. Help me there.
I can't. I honestly, Neil, this is a motivation question, just like a buyer who says they want to buy and they look at 15 houses and never make an offer. This is a motivation question like a seller who says, yeah, I really want to do something, but then they never have you out to the house or they never list it. You got to move on. I mean, look, you know how you want to spend your time. I have an affirmation, which is, this is the only day I have. Right? Because when my mom died last year, I really realized you just don't know when it's going to happen. And when it does, it's done. You're staring at a body that no longer has life in it. And you realize every day that happens to somebody. Every day that happens to somebody, right? It could be somebody you know, somebody you don't know, but it happens every day. This is it. Okay. There is no such thing as tomorrow. And yesterday is a memory. So if you don't use today in some way, shape, or form to feel productive, to feel good about yourself, I mean, it could be a day where you go and do something you really love, like a great hike or something. Good for you. I think that's fantastic. It could be something that you do with your kids, or a Zoom call like this, or, it could be something you do for one of your clients. The girl who does my dry cleaning, I walked in, I noticed she didn't have any gloves on. I said, you're seeing people every day. She said, well, Nick, he's the owner. He didn't give me any gloves. I said, I'll be right back. I gave her gloves. She was so happy because I gave her a box of gloves. Look for opportunities to make somebody's day, to do something good for people. I went on a listing appointment yesterday, and it was very obvious this guy could, if somebody would take the time, could stay in that property instead of selling it and renting it. And he's divorced. He's got a son there. The son goes to the school. I said, let's figure out a way to help you stay here. Okay. Now, you're saying, because he was ready to sign a listing agreement, you're saying maybe, God, I really need the listing. How many people you think he might refer to me if this in fact gets pulled off?
No,
that's the right thing to do. Okay.
No, that's a strategy we teach all the time. I don't know that agents do it, but we do teach that all the time.
I can tell you, I see agents on a regular basis that make a gigantic error every day because all they care about is themselves, and they don't put the people they're talking to first. And guess what? 90% of all communication is nonverbal. And if you don't think people know that, you're wrong. They know it. They know when you're first and they're second. And they also know the opposite. So I can't help you, Neil, with your agents who don't want to seize the day, who don't want to carpe diem, who don't want to, have a morning schedule that makes them feel good. I used to say, hey, I get more stuff done by 10. I could take the rest of the day off. And I could. I didn't, but I could. And I still would have sold 120, 130 homes.
Right.
Just by being productive from 6 to 10.
I love the passion. I love the focus. I love the whole thing. I mean, it's a great package. Fantastic. Sorry to hear about your mother-in-law, though.
Yeah, man, it's a bitch. Okay. You see the real deal when you look at somebody going through. I mean, this is the point. And all of our clients deal with this. And then you pick up the phone and call them and you're anything less than concerned or caring for what their needs are. It doesn't mean you have to spend an hour on the phone with them, listening to them, cry or whatever, but to say to somebody, hey, I'm really sorry to hear that. Like you just did. I feel like you mean it.
I
Right?
do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know you do. And,
Yeah.
and when you say that to somebody, whether it's one of your agents, because you care about how their production is or how their home life is going or something like that, they know it because they know that's who you are. That's why they work for you or they wouldn't, right?
Right.
Your clients, your prospects know that too, right? Your buyers, your sellers. And it's a tricky thing right now because, there's fear. Fear is the one thing that's entered into this, which makes this a unique situation. And you have to respect it, right? I mean,
Talk more about that a little bit, please.
Well, I mean, so we're talking about, for many of us, the idea that we might get something from somebody that we can't see, right? That might really hurt us. It might even kill us, okay? Now, I don't watch the news. I never do, but I especially don't now. But my wife does. And you can see the difference when we talk at the end of the day between my attitude and where I'm coming from, being respectful and fully aware, because I talk to people all day long, that people are spooked by this thing, yeah? And her, where she's like, oh my God, and I'm like, honey, I'm sorry, we just can't have this conversation because I understand where you're coming from. And if we keep talking, you're going to think that I'm not being understanding. And I am understanding. I'm just not going to choose to accept that it's going to happen to us. And if you have to be somewhere else for a couple of months until this thing is over with, I'll deal with that. I'll deal with that. But that's my wife, right?
Right.
For
Right.
years. And she won't come home and stay in the same house with me because she's afraid that she might get sick and take it back to her mom, who she has to care for. So I'm keenly aware of the fact that now you've got clients like this, you have sellers like this. I'm sure you all called your sellers when shelter in place said, and you said, hey, if you want to take your home off the market, it's totally fine, right? Now, how Mike Ferry is that? Oh, you want to cancel? I completely understand. I'm here for you, right? I think the old script was no.
Any other questions? Yeah, exactly.
So this is a very special and unique time that way, but it doesn't mean that it's going to continue forever, because it won't, right? And there will be a time, and I always think this way, where we're going to look back on this just like I looked back when we started bombing in the Middle East and I had just started in real estate. I thought, oh my God, no one's going to want to buy or sell homes in the middle of a war. And then we had the earthquake, which, by the way, happened to really devastate my valley. Nobody's going to want to buy homes that have been hit by the earth. Guess what? They always did. It always comes back. It always comes back. Okay? This is just different, but it's also the same that way. And so you have to be understanding that people have fear, but at the same time, they might just need you to say, you know what? Things are looking pretty good in my world. So I'm hopeful that we'll get back to where we were before too long. I'm going to stay in touch with you. And that may be all that you share with them, and it might have made them feel a little better that day.
That's great. Really. Thank you. Thank you for that. Really good stuff, Neil. I appreciate it. What would you, how would you like to finish up? I mean, you've said a million great things. Is there anything that you want to leave our people with that might help them over the next few weeks to do some of the stuff that you're talking about, to move them?
Okay, well, so here's the thing. I'm not going to tell you to prospect more or call more people or any of those things. Neil probably wants me to, but the truth of the matter is this. I think we should stay on what we were just talking about. I'm 57 years old, and because I've been through a lot of this stuff before, I know that we're going to be okay. But a lot of our clients don't, right? A lot of the sellers, the buyers, the prospects, your past clients, and because fear enters into this, sometimes if all you do is make them feel a little better about what's going on in a way that's sensitive, and I think that's one of the greatest things we can do right now. That's why I've been doing these videos, is to very, hopefully right in between the lines, not up here, not down here, but look at a camera and say to people, here's what's happening. And it's very different, and it's certainly scary. And yet at the same time, in my world, things are still happening in a way that gives us a lot of hope for the future. If you simply said that, nothing more, those people would want to talk to you again, right? Because we don't want to talk to gloom and doom people, do we? I don't. That's why I don't watch the news. So I think thinking about that, how can you make a positive impact in somebody's, it might even be your spouse. A lot of times for me, it is. Like, I'm like, I got to bring this girl up because, she's by nature an extremely positive person. And this thing is just kicking the crap out of her. I mean, it's really gotten inside her head, and I can see it. And it hurts me deep inside, to see this. And so I know that's happening for other people. Let's maybe be that for the people that we come across, right? Where we're not gonna, not be aware and sensitive of the fact that this is a big deal and it's unusual and it's scary and all those things. Of course we are. But if we're also saying, you know what, there's a lot of good things that I'm seeing in my world right now that lead me to think we're going to be okay. And I have hope that if we can get through this, hopefully sooner than later, we're going to be good. Just that little bit of optimism that's honest, I think really, I think you'll feel better about what you're doing. And I think they'll be glad you called.
That's great. This has been awesome. So appreciated very, very much. I'm glad we got this time together. Thank you.
Well, it's great to see everybody. Keep up the good work. And I really believe that when we see each other again, we'll look back on this. I really believe this and say, well, that was something else for sure. But, it's certainly in the past. This will be in the past. We just don't know.
Absolutely. Neil, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Neil.
Great job. Really great job. Awesome. Thank you.